What is something that you wish that they would ask you, and maybe future guests listening might want to ask this? In 2025 highlight, favorite episode, favorite memory, favorite moment.
English good, words good.
Looking for real stories of real people making a difference in the Grand Canyon State? Welcome to Finding Arizona Podcast. We sit down with Arizona's inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and community leaders and give you a front row seat to their journeys, passions, and projects. Whether you're a local trying to find a hidden gem or just enjoy watching someone chase their dreams, Finding Arizona is your go-to place for authentic conversations with a desert twist. New episodes drop weekly, so hit subscribe and start exploring Arizona one story at a time.
Hey, all you Arizona lovers. Welcome back to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and this is our end of the year recap episode. We have done this a couple of times since the very kind of start of our relationship. I think that's something that I really find interesting because I've always wanted to encapsulate every year and kind of highlight who came in through the doors, and always wanted to share some of the highlights because not everyone gets to see all what happens before they walk in, after they walk out, and even some of the stuff that we don't really broadcast or talk about. So that's what these episodes are for, is just to share with you those singular moments in every year. So this is no different. 2025 has been kind of a really big whirlwind of things that we've been through together as a family, but also a whirlwind of things going on out there with all of you business owners. We love highlighting you guys. So this episode will not only show a little bit of clips of what we've been through, but also just share with you some of our favorite moments. So let's kick it off. I think one of the first segments that we wanted to show was kind of myself and highlighting who I am as the host and someone who's doing a lot of the front-facing forward stuff. So I'm going to kick it off to our wonderful producer extraordinaire, Britt, to kind of take the reins of this segment.
Can I introduce myself first?
Yes, of course.
Can I talk
over
here?
No, I'm sorry, because we talked about this. Woo! We are going to introduce each other and what we're also like doing as far as physical behind the scenes, and what our actual umbrella corporation titles would be if you look this up on our org chart. So introducing Britt. Britt, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Brittany Acevedo, and I am the producer of the Finding Arizona podcast, as well as co-founder of Found House Productions. And I am more than honored and blessed to be sitting right beside you in so many ways, and happy to be here on the recap for 2025 on the road to 500th episode of the Finding Arizona podcast. And off air, we had a little talk about how this episode was going to go. And I love that he started off with that cheesy hey, because if you've been listening since the very beginning, that means the start of an episode. And so it's exciting to hear it time and again, because it knows that it shows that, like, you know, nothing's changing. Like, we're hey, we're here to just keep sharing stories of beautiful people. So, yeah. And you can also see in the very intro of this episode why he is the host, because he clearly is the Libra of the family and really great at what he does. So I thought it would be really fun to ask him just a couple of quick questions, because he gets to ask a lot of questions. In fact, on take 2, he was already firing questions at me, and I was like, hold on. I'm not ready. I'm not the guest. I'm just a co-host on this episode. So I wanted to ask you first, what is something that you wish people asked you that you don't get asked enough? And sometimes it's hard to like ask an interviewer questions because they're being interviewed, so it's not their place to like have a good volley with them. I know how to be a guest and I know how to be a host. But what is something that you wish that they would ask you, and maybe future guests listening might want to ask this?
There's been a couple of highlighted moments where I experience at least a deep connection with someone. And we talk about their emotions towards the interaction or towards the story. I think one of the things that I wish I did a little bit or got a little bit more is more of a visceral, like trying to get, sometimes I get like really like emotional while I talk about the certain items or certain stuff that we get into. And so I would like to see or hear more of like, oh, Jose, I see that you're physically moved by it. Like, can you give me an insight on why it does that? Like just more prying on like, why does that affect you so much? Because sometimes I get to talk about it and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just have to like suck it up and kind of like blow past through it just for the sake of the conversation and getting to the next question, the next segment. But yeah.
I heard today on an interview I was on, I was interviewing someone, but she said, I try and show up and be interested instead of interesting. And I think that's something you do a great job at. But there are moments of you that are very interesting for the guests that, or for those that listen, and for the guests that are having a conversation with you for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, how would you not want to ask those types of questions? But I understand there are like, you know, places and times. So that's a really good one. I want to ask about all the hats that you wear and you continue to wear. From the podcast host perspective, right? Like sitting in the limelight, what are some things that people wouldn't necessarily know is true, or maybe like make assumptions about, you know, a podcast host that aren't necessarily true? Like, let's just kind of kibosh some, you know, false narratives in the podcast world for a podcast host.
I think surprisingly enough, I don't have any kind of regiments to keep my voice, like, kind of keep it. I've just talk and talk and talk, and that's.
He does wake up like this.
I do wake up like this, unfortunately. But the thing is, I haven't needed that as of yet. As I progress older and get, you know, a little bit more of like the tread on the tires, you know, are going, I probably will need to, you know, seek out like vocal techniques and stuff like that. We'll see. But for right now, I'm doing just swell. I'm thriving in my conversation. The other thing is, most people would probably assume as a podcaster that I'm like, I constantly am probably like just in love with my voice. I really don't love my voice. I find it very like, when I'm editing, I try my best to just edit right through it and like grind it out. I don't love my voice.
True. I listen to all the episodes more than he does.
So yeah, sure. I feel
like we all
I think everyone does, but
themselves.
I would imagine that more people will be like, oh, he's doing the talking all the time, so he must really like his. No, I don't.
So he's also the editor. So there we go. There's that's the other question I want to ask you is, what do people assume as an editor that you're like, oh my gosh, no, absolutely not?
I guess as an editor,
that you can AI everything.
Yeah, that I can AI everything, and that everything is really done well in post. It's really hard.
We can fix that in post.
We can fix that in post. That's the key line that I make. A lot of our reels and a lot of our conversations and jokes about clients and stuff like that, it comes from a place of real like what we've been through as far as dealing with the business as a whole. Is like those funny little moments where it's like, you probably wouldn't get this at another job, or you probably wouldn't get this as another career path. And it is quite hilarious to us because we've also are the clients as well sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've had some dream clients this year, and we've had some not so dream clients this year. And it's really, like he said, a learning experience in all of those lights. What is something that makes you uncomfortable about producing this podcast, hosting this podcast, being in this seat, wearing all these hats? Anything that makes you uncomfortable?
I think as I get a little bit further into fatherhood with Atlas, I think one of the things that I probably should segment out or keep more close to the chest is just my emotions about him growing up, and not that stuff, but it's like more about like where he's going, like his physical priority, like where he's going, just more safety things, and making sure that our priority as parents are over the what people want to know about him, and trying to get information about him. But yeah, I think as my connection, as like both of our motherhood and fatherhood, as we get further along, you just pick up different things that you have to be aware of, or just realize that it's a big part of the environment that you live in. So one of the things that we've started to realize is like how much NFTs can help our child in a quick moment of like stress, and like in the moment where a cell phone can really help out in the situations. We learned a couple of things. So yeah, just anything like that where it's like as a parent you grow into safety protocols for your child. So
that's a good one. Well, now I'll ask the big question, 2025 highlight, favorite episode, favorite memory, favorite moment. I mean, we've done a lot. You don't have to pick one.
I wrote these down. I really need to kind of make sure that I'm confident in a lot of these. I mean, there's a lot of situations where we've had, like you said, we've had some dream clients, and one of the ones that sticks out is D'Lo. And D'Lo was one of those episodes that I found very interesting from a perspective of not only his career path, but what he's doing these days too. So that was a lot of fun for me to kind of not only meet him, but also embrace him and embrace his world. And that gave me the chance to not only propel past just being a guest and show host and stuff like that, but also working with him with some of his videos and editing for him as well. So that's a dream client. When you propel from just being a guest on a show to actual business client, it's just like so much better that way. It just transforms the relationship even further. So that was one of those dream clients.
That's what I love about this community too, is our guests are our friends, they're our clients, we're their clients, we're their friends, I hope. It's great. I mean, we just got a ton of Christmas cards and holiday cards, and some of them have been guests of this podcast because now they're a part of our life, not just on the business side, but on the personal side too. And now, to your point of like watching our son grow up and being a part of those memories too. So it's been amazing.
Well, I have to be honest too, because this has been a real whirlwind of changes for 2025, is one part taking this further into Foundhouse production, and everything more going towards a full-time ramping up scale. And that has been just a reflection on my career path, and just a reflection on where we are as a team and what we could achieve together. So that was really scary to take that on like halfway through the year. I think it was August. And so that was one of those situations where it's, again, you ride the ride and you ride the wave and you just hold on, make sure you don't get thrashed. And it's doing well, and we're riding this ride and it's like hanging in there. And so that's a lot of things behind the scenes as far as what we're doing as business owners. But it's, again, that stands out as a big moment for me, and finding a new space to do recording. And so that leads me into where we stand today as not only producing partners, but also working out of Backlot Studios. And that's our kind of like new home. And we get to work out of there, record out of there. Those of you who are big fans will know that that is the studio space that you see, where it's like, it's been a different backdrop, and it's like not our normal with our sign, but it's really high quality videos and things that we've been able to produce for some clients. And we're going to continue to use that space, and hopefully be able to announce today, mid-roll through this whole, so if you're listening, this is kind of like a launching of our 500th episode.
500.
Yeah, exciting.
It's usually called 500th, but he's calling it the 500.
500, yeah. English good, words good. But yeah, like 500th episode, it's going to be an actual thing for us because we're going to try and make it into a party, a real life one-to-one, meet, connect, shake hands, and have some fun along the way. So that is going to be coming down the road. So if you're a fan, make sure you're signed up for a newsletter, learn about all that stuff. And those of you who have been on the show, and it's going to be a big party for those all 500 guests that have been through our doors and have made Finding Arizona podcast what it is today. So that's just something that I was like, career highlights, or at least 2025 highlights, is taking it to a new ramping scale. Highlight one individual episode would be D'Lo, and then also the fact that we're going to shoot for new goals for this 2026 is, man, so much going on this year. And so that's where I am. That's me, Jose. I am the founder of Finding Arizona podcast, but also the host and also co-founder of Foundhouse Production. Now it is my turn to take the reins and go into segment 2, which is more about you, Brittany, and it's just about learning about what you do behind the scenes and kind of going into your career as a whole of 2025, because where one person changes his career path, another person also has to take in her career path. So give us a little bit of the highlights for you for 2025 really quickly, and then we'll go into more detail about like things that people don't know about you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's definitely been an incredible year to encourage Jose really captain of this ship show, shit show. It's funny because the episode we just had a couple of weeks ago, Mara Benson, shout out Bliss Realty, she was even saying it, and every other guest says it. It's like we never know as entrepreneurs what we're doing. We just ride the wave. We just go. So it's been really fun to encourage him to fall, eat shit, get off, get back up, and have some incredible opportunities, have some great waves, like you just mentioned. So that's been a lot of fun. Most of my work here at the podcast is behind the scenes because I do have a full-time job. I'm an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur. Shout out to the No Women, an incredible media organization.
Yes.
We've been producing their podcast now for a couple of years, and I got to go on the road this year, New York City, Chicago, Raleigh, North Carolina, to do on-site production for them. So it really just shows what we're capable of doing, whether we're 5 miles, 500, miles away from, any of our clients. So that's been amazing to see our capabilities to level up on our production scale and also our location scale too. So that's been really fun, balancing all of that, of course, motherhood, wifehood on top of that. I shout out to all the moms and the wives out there doing all the things. But I think my favorite ultimate thing here is really, it's one of the last questions that I think you're going to ask me is, what would this place be with you? What would this place be without you? And it's kind of like my favorite and my least favorite thing about this podcast, because we have created such a great business, startup business.
Yeah.
It has some great processes in place. And I think without me, it would still be an incredible podcast, because you guys, have clearly seen you're an incredible host and you're great at asking questions. But what I love to do is implement the business side of it and watch what happens when you talk about paid media, what happens when you implement paid for ads on, your blogs, right? What happens when we're talking about your umbrella, right? What happens when you have different revenue streams, right? And it's 2026. We all have to have that. So it's been fun to really see this business really thrive in its direction, but also now, as Mama Hen here, see, okay, where else can we take this business? Production side, commercial side, and being able to have others host and advertise on our newsletter and our blog and our vlogs. So that's been a lot of fun, kind of wearing those different hats. and seeing how other media conglomerates out there are doing it. And then one thing I just want to say too, and I'll plug my latest blog here, is podcasts are getting awarded. They are awarding season is coming. The Golden Globes just announced that they are going to give a first time ever podcast award out in 2026. And of course, you know all the names that are on those lists, and it's pay to play, and there's a lot of, red tape in it, but it just goes to show that it's not dead.
Yeah,
it's
a
not
big
dead
category.
It's out there. It's not just my mom listening, even though, Mom, I know you're listening and I love you. But I think that's what's exciting too, is it went from almost like everybody has a podcast to, wait, this is actually a trusted media source that not just is noise out there. So I want to kind of wrap all that in a little bow and just say thank you for listening and trusting us as your media source here, and the guests for coming on who wanted to share their stories. So thank you.
Yeah. And before we go into our next question, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to take it to our sponsors. Now, we introduced ourselves and kind of where we are on our career paths, and that is something that I am very ecstatic, because now you get to know each other. Like, we get to, every time I hear people say, "Where's Britt?" and I know that they can share with me stories about Britt. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of things that I enjoy connecting with others on, because she's incredible. But vice versa, you get questions about me and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that we can chat about, but there's also some things that we can't talk about too. And I would like to kind of reach into that bag, because our listeners and all of our fans want probably some juicy gossip from 2025, but also just want to take the trend of things that we can't chat about, or things that are forbidden or off limits and stuff like that. So that's really important for the audience to hear from someone who's also the producer of the show. Give us something that you haven't publicly said about the show.
I think that the main thing that sticks out to me when you bring that up is sometimes it's a one-man or a one-woman show. Mm-hmm. So if you are waiting a few days for an email reply, it's because that one man or that one woman has been a little busy. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. There are episodes where there's only one of us on site, being the host and the cameraman.
Yeah.
Obviously it's you, because I can't be the host. But it makes it tough. And when I was talking about producing on site, in Chicago and New York, I mean, oh my goodness, the horror story. I got a email at 10 o'clock at night, Chicago time, the night before I was supposed to use a Peerspace to record 3 podcast episodes and 2 kind of panel recordings. 10 o'clock at night, and we were supposed to be there at 9 a.m. the next morning. So that was a panic moment of, how do you find a new space? How do you make sure it hits everything that your client needs for that space? How do you control what you can control in that space? I think that probably just, I have sometimes nightmares. I wake up at 3 a.m, like, a Peerspace.
in a cold sweat.
But the one thing that I learned, whether it is having a hiccup on a recording by yourself, or getting a 10 o'clock, your Peerspace has been canceled, situation, waiting months for a payment in the mail, whatever it may be, checking the mail every day. Did their payment come in? Did the payment come in? This is where my boo-boo-ness comes in, and it's the universe. Trust it. It delivers. People show up. Good things happen to good people. And I know that we are good people, and our mission and the podcast mission and the company's mission, it's always true to sharing the voices of the people who deserve it and need it. And I think that's really what the universe feels at the end of the day too. So we learn from that recording, or we get a new Peerspace, or the check will come in the mail tomorrow.
It'll clear, I think for me, in the sense of like what I don't typically shout out or like, talk publicly about the show is people ask me a lot of the questions of like what I use creatively for like, do I use AI? Is the show produced using AI? That's a tough question. One being that the basic simple answer is, do I use AI tools? Yes, I do use AI tools. But I don't use it in the sense that like it does the heavy lifting. I do it in the sense that there are specific tool sets that I need done, and I can't spend the majority of my time doing it, whereas the AI can probably make it a little bit faster. But it's just one part of the process. It's not doing any of the big chunk of like editing or doing a big set of like things that I prioritize or I want a certain kind of fineness to. All of that is done by me. So yes, there are certain tool sets that I like to use that will pop out or propagate some kind of AI function that comes along with it. But I try my best to make it fully just someone who's a creative person who wants to produce a podcast like this. And so that still makes it a homegrown thing, but it's also done a little bit faster with the help of artificial technology. So yes, that's something that I don't publicly shout out to the masses, but it's also something that I've been asked once or twice before.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And I think it's important to talk about because it's a tool as a resource, not the ultimate resource. And that's hopefully what all of you are using your chats and your bots for out there too.
And I look at it as more of like an evolution or adaptation. If you don't grow and evolve, you get left behind, and that is not something that I want to be doing. I want to keep doing this and having something like this to do some of those tools that I like or don't like to do by hand. I like to give it off to the robot to do. The other thing that I think probably people would like us to talk about is something probably more along the lines of like things that we don't air or things that we talk about off when we are stopped the recording and things like that. Because where the paradigm of the whole situation is that we hit record and that's all that's the entertainment part is in front of the camera, and once the cameras go off, like what happens? And so I can just be the first to admit it's like, there's a little bit of amplitude of your character when the camera's on, but most of these people are just regular folks, so they're not anyone that's any wild character or anything like that. So what we typically talk about off air is, how did you feel about certain parts of the conversations? How did you feel about the comfortability of the guest? How did you feel about A, B, and C of like the workflow? So that's typically what we talk about off air. As for what we don't produce or do on air, or what we decide to not air, can you kind of take the reins on like how that works?
I don't know what we
it's like
to produce. The camera goes off.
Yeah, well, it's like once it's like let's say someone requests, like if someone requests to like remove a portion of a conversation, is that something that comes up regularly, and what do our kind of workflow?
It doesn't come up regularly, no. I mean, we'll always respect that in the conversation. I hope anybody that's producing a podcast out there would do the same.
Yeah. You'd be surprised, though. Some people edit and cut around certain things, or some people leave in that are just like, hey, I thought we were going to cut that out.
I mean, our agenda is not that.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to be confused by that. We also I don't remember the last time this has happened to us in a couple of years, because you never put people in those types of situations or questions or corners. So.
Yeah. I've always tried my best.
If you're trying to make yourself look real good, you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, again, I've never tried I've never made any effort to put anyone in a corner or anything like that. This has always been a celebration podcast rather than a like, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like some things that we don't produce, or like, yeah, there was a time that had to do with a career and like didn't want that to be out in the open, or certain questions, like, you know, just little things. So we have to edit around that, and I try my best to edit around the flow of the conversation so it doesn't feel choppy. So that's typically what ends up happening.
Yeah. But it's not edited really, because then it's not a conversation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
So that's why it's like a lot of people who are
we're not taking out your ums or your ahs or your thes.
Not too many.
This is a real raw conversation. Just like this one you're watching right now.
Absolutely. So, and and just kind of like a goal setting situation, I want to kind of talk about the 500th episode really quickly. Anticipation, I'm very excited for. The moment of this has been a long time coming. We've worked very hard in the 500 episodes.
Talk to your people.
Yeah.
You've worked hard.
I'm very excited.
Talk to them. They want to hear from you.
I'm very excited because it just means that we have worked so hard for the last decade to get here, but it's also just a testament. I mean, every little bit and every little story I feel like matters, and it's all just culmination of like great people, great scenarios, great, you know, ensemble of like guests and people who want to share themselves. And so for me as the host, I just feel very lucky that I've gotten the opportunity to be the librarian, the cheerleader that I've always called myself, and give back to the community that I call home. Now, this whole 500 episode, I just think is going to be a culmination of just excitement. And so feel free, if you guys ever want to just say, calm down, Jose, just tell me to calm down. But I hope that everyone that will be able to go to the party will go to the party and enjoy themselves. But it's also just like, I can't believe we got here. I'm very excited. I'm going to cry.
Well, cry.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, I tell them when and where and what to expect,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's important. If not,
Yes.
then he can cut this out.
Yes.
March 14th, it is happening. It is at Backlot Studios. It's from 5 to 7. It is RSVP. It will be launching soon. If you've been on the guest on the show, you are definitely invited. We do have a couple of opportunities if you want to be a vendor of the event, if you want to sponsor the event. We'll be selecting a few of those for this specific event here on March 14th, the 500th episode. So what we're going to be doing is capturing a couple of little mini mic moments, little shared stories of what it's meant for you, what it's like, meeting the other 500 guests, and really just, like Jose said, celebrating each other and all of this hard work. So mark your calendars now, and drop us an email now if you are interested in being a vendor or a sponsor for the event as well. We'll have very limited selections for that, but it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a lot of people who, because 500 people, like 500 episodes, 500 different businesses, I think we're going to get a highlight of like cool people showing up, sharing, and wanting to be there and wanting to also participate. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I have a question.
Okay.
If somebody were watching this for the first time, their first episode, they haven't even seen 500 of them.
Yeah.
What is something you want them to get from this show?
I want someone to be able to say, hey, Jose, get me a guy. Some people like...
Or a girl.
Or a girl. You know, it's that thing of like, I need some person. Like, I need a person.
Love that.
And I want to really, like, I don't want to go through the yellow books. I don't want internet search. I just want someone to be like, this is my guy. Go to them because A, B, and C. So if one day someone tells a person who was on our show, hey, Jose said that you're his guy or girl, however you want to put it, and I'm coming to you because you're Jose's guy. And then that story gets back to me, and there's like, Jose, they said this, and I'm like, that'll make me very, very proud.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Quickly, before everything happens and blows up and turns into dust, I am Jose. This is Brittany. We learned so much from 2025. Thank you so much for being a part of the Finding Arizona podcast family. Thank you for listening to us. You can hear every episode at findingarizonapodcast.com. We make it easy for you guys to connect with us social media-wise. Finding Arizona Podcast under everything. Please join us again for not only this recap for 2026, but also to go past that and go into more than 500 episodes. High five, Britt. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.